All right, good morning, everybody. This isn't going to be a book related video or anything. This is going to be just simply how I've been struggling with how to phrase this or title this video because I'm not entirely certain what demographic I'm aiming at, but when I was fresh in the industry, blue collar welder fabricator, and I got into drinking coffee because of the long hours and how tired I was, I had to try to find a video on how to make good coffee. And specifically the stuff you can throw in a thermos and sip on all day. So I figured now that I've got a YouTube channel, I'll make the video that I wish I had back then. So to anybody who's just now getting into blue collar or working with their hands or camping or anything where they just want a good cup of coffee to throw in a thermos and drink. Yeah, this is going great so far. Well, I want to go over coffee makers. I want to go over coffee cups. I want to go over thermoses. And then I'll go over how I use each one. All right, see you in the next. All right, please try to ignore the dishes in the sink. We all have our own troubles with that. I'm going to be doing some dishes later. But right now, we're going to go over coffee makers. As you can see, we got the Keurig and the bun. This is an older bun. It's a little dirty on top right now. But I was gifted this by a friend in a group I'm a part of, and I have used it every day since I've got it. And this thing is a beast. If you're really into drinking coffee, spend the money, go get a Bun-O-Matic or whatever they're selling now. I know they're like $100, but they're nice. The water is already hot in the back of the tank. All I have to do is pour in fresh water, and then the hot water just comes straight out. It doesn't have to warm the fresh water I poured in. So they're faster than a normal coffee maker, not by like enough to really save you on a busy morning, but like I said, this thing is trucking for years and I love it. This is more for the wife. I use it on the weekends occasionally, but I don't really like this one. It's a little complicated to use. It's only got the one button and everything, but it is just, I don't really care for it. So those are the two coffee makers we use. The other ones, the drip-ons, like the ones you get for $9-10 at Walmart, those are great. That's what I started with. Everything for this machine is the same as those. It's just the delivery of the hot water is different. So anything I tell you on this should work on that. It's just, it'll take longer because it has to heat the water up as it goes. So those are the coffee makers. Now we're going to get into travel mugs. I got two that I really use a lot. So this is my daily driver at work. I use it every single day. As you can see, it's a little banged up. This was a gift from my sister one Christmas. And it's stained by coffee because that's pretty much all I drink out of it. There's nothing to break on this. Even the, let's see if I can get it off one-handed. There it is. Even the lid seal is just a big O-ring, or I think it's a U-ring, but it's just one big O-ring, so there's nothing to break. Man, it looks dirty. Sorry, I would have cleaned it up, but I decided to do this video kind of impromptu and show you the coffee and the gritty, dirty shop that I work. Just how it is every day, so you're not getting any sort of idea that I don't really know. I just see people with a lot of manicured things on videos, and I sometimes feel bad because it feels like, well, I don't have the time to keep up with that. And really what it is they just scrubbed everything really spotless before the video. Now this one, I like this one a lot. It's one of those push-button Contagos, or I think that's how you say it. And just press the button, the mouth opens. See? So these are good for car rides. I end up using these because then there's a lock for the lid, so it won't open. I end up using these on road trips. This was my wife's dad's. He actually gave it to me on the way back from a road trip down to see him. So it was really nice of him. And I'll show you how I clean everything. Maybe once I get the dishes cleaned, I will clear out the sink, and I will show you guys how I maintain my thermoses and my this, and how I maintain my coffee makers. So this will be a good example. Now, there are the Yetis that are tall and skinny with the little magnet slide. I have one of those, but I don't use it very often. And it's simply because that magnet slide has popped off before. So like if I were to drop this one, it's closed. If I drop that one, the magnet slide could pop off and it goes everywhere. So I do like it, but I don't use it as much as these two. Plus, it's expensive. These Yeti cups are expensive, but as you can tell, this one's survived quite a bit. You can see my initials all over it because I don't want anyone stealing my cup. Not that they would steal this dirty thing, but one other thing I wanted to mention about this is there is no closure. So when it's sitting on my toolbox, shit can get in here. So what I do is I take a clear Jackson style weld lens. I think it's 4x6, clear welding lens. Put a little tape on it so I can see it, and then I set it on top so nothing can get into my coffee. So that's just a little bit of shop engineering for you, because that is just an always open mouth. So I just set my lid, or it's my lid at work, but it's just a Jackson style welding lens. I've also seen guys use little circle cutouts of metal that are just a little bigger than their cups. I knew a guy who used like a ceramic cup and would always put a piece of, what was that? I think it was MDF or just a little piece of wood that was sealed. He'd set that over it so nothing got in his cup. And frankly, if you're working in a shop where you got tables or a toolbox that's something on, these will work, just ceramic cups. I think I got, I got this cup, and they will work, but you might break them. And when you break them, you just don't want to be attached to them too much. I've noticed a lot of guys that use these types will have ones with broken handles that their wives were going to throw out, and they'll just take them into the shop and give them a second life in there. But there's options, and you don't have to go out and buy a Yeti, because I think these, flat out, these are too expensive for me to buy. I would not buy this one, but like I said, it was a gift, and it has worked very well. I think it's 5 or 6 years old now. No, 4 or 5 years old now. So obviously it's seen better days. It's banged up. It's dirty on the inside, which does clean up, and I can show you how. But between these two, these are the only travel mugs I ever really use. So let's get them in the back. You've seen the ceramic mug. Let's get on to, yep. So this is a Hario, I don't know what they're called. Anyway, it's a, here, I'll show you it's a Hario pour over filter. I'll show you how I use these. I put a filter in here, put my grounds in here, and then I just take hot water out of this that I didn't brew coffee with. I just put the hot water through, and I pour it over this. And it goes through the coffee beans, and it'll brew coffee right in your cup. I use this Hario for ceramic cups. I use it for this to-go cup. It's when I don't need a full pot of coffee to get me through the day. When I'm just like a Saturday and we're going to a zoo or something, I will just fill this guy up and call it good, because that's all I really need. If I needed more, I could stop at a gas station or something. But for a 12-hour shift at work, I need a full pot just to have on hand. Even if I don't drink it all, it's good to have something on hand. All right, this is the new member of the, hold on, my thumb's over the label. This is the newer Stanleys. You got your, I always called this a courtesy cup because I never drink out of it. But if I have a buddy that's really like yawning and having trouble, I will give him a cup out of this, or a cup of coffee to drink out of this, and then I'll clean it at home. But I don't personally use these because it doesn't hold enough coffee, and it's a big open hole that dust and shit can get in. You can put a lid on it, but I prefer my tumblers or my big steel coffee cup. So these are really just a courtesy cup I give somebody if they're dragging ass and they need a pick-me-up. And most of the time, they're pretty thankful I had some coffee for them. And as you can see, I'll show you how to use these, because I was a bit confused at first too. But these two channels are just your pour spouts, and you can see later. This one's really clean. I mostly use this one for hot water. And just having around the house. Sometimes I'll take it on a trip or something, but really that's all I use this one for. Now this old beat up piece of junk is my work one. As you can see, my initials and paint pen. The courtesy cup is quite dinged up, but not the worst dings I've ever seen on one of these. I knew a guy who had like a flat spot for half of the lid. It was wild looking. You can see where it drags against my toolbox every... Let me get out of the light here. Here. No, I don't like that. You can see where it drags against my toolbox every day. I love this thing. This was the first thermos I bought when I got into the industry. I've cleaned it up a handful of times, but that green just starts to wear and break in, and it looks really nice, in my opinion. But it does look like a Bradford milling machine after a while. Just a beat, of course. Let me put you down for a second. Sorry, I put this lid on tight, but then comes off. See my courtesy cup, a little dirty, but nothing different. You can see one of those dings made it through the side of the... It didn't break the plastic, but you can see it stressed the plastic right there. Yeah, that's same old same. I do need to clean this one. It's another reason I was making the video, to show how to maintain these. So this is my daily driver. I've got a couple more over there. When this one breaks, they're older style like this one, or one looks like it's from the 60s that I'll use until it's done. But yeah, I like to keep that black one clean, because this is the fate of any of them that go to work with me. Yep, that's pretty much it for what I use. We'll get into how I use it next. All right. Again, please be patient with the sink. I'm going to fill up my Contago for the day because, how do I put this? It's Saturday and I want some coffee. So I open my buns lid, I fill up my cup. This is just an Anchor measuring cup. I know approximately how much I got to put in here to get out here. It's usually pretty equal, but I think mine evaporates a little bit in between uses, which won't be an issue if you have a normal coffee maker, but these buns that store the hot water back here, they have that slight issue. Turn on the heater. Now there's no, hold on. As you can see, there's no coffee grounds in this right now. I'm just running the hot water through. Now, these are standard coffee filters. I hope I'm in frame. And I just fold them and get a little bit of a triangle going so it'll fit down in the Harrio. Diesel Odin! No! No! Anyway, sorry about that. I think it was the mailman. Anyway, I wet the filter so it stays in place. Kind of push it down. Then I'll put in my coffee grounds. I've been using this lately. It's the black soap from Folgers. I like it. It's cheap enough. Sam's Club, I think this big old tin's 14 bucks. 14 bucks American. And then I'll talk about my spoon. This is just a wooden spoon. I like it. It's about the right size for a scoop. And when I make my scoops, hopefully my hands don't shake, I get them a little bit rounded. So I know For the Hario, it takes about 3 rounded scoops. Maybe a little more. There we go. I can hear the coffee fanatics going crazy because I'm not weighing anything and it's just by feel. And I agree, this is not the most consistent way to make coffee. But for me, who just likes coffee, it doesn't have to be perfectly consistent. It's just got to be good coffee. And I do enjoy good coffee. Every now and again, I'll get a nice dark roast from a coffee shop, but most of the time I'm drinking Folgers because I drink it every single day. And this shit gets expensive, so looks like all my water's done. And I just pour it into the coffee grounds. I try to go real slow and just give it a little bit of motion. I think the proper way you're supposed to do this is with a gooseneck pot that has a little stream that comes out. But I'm not buying one of those just for my Saturday coffee. If coffee becomes a hobby for you, there's no harm in it at all. But this coffee is not really my hobby. This is just a means to an end for me. I need energy, so I wake up in the morning, I make coffee. I go do what I want to do. I drink the good coffee. And then I don't think about it after that. But again, if coffee is a hobby or a passion or your job, like you're a barista, go ahead. Do what you have to do. This video is not quite meant for you, even though I think it might be insightful. That's about enough. I'm just going to let that brew through. Then I got some coffee. I think it would be this video might be insightful for some people because I think we get so lost in our hobbies we don't realize how other people do things. So like, I'm not making coffee to sit down, close my eyes, and enjoy a cup of coffee in a nice coffee shop. I'll go to a coffee shop if I want that. I'm making coffee to wake up, go into work or wake up at 3 a.m., go into work at 5, or get into work at 5, start work at 5, get myself until 9 o'clock where my first break is, and then get myself from 9 o'clock to lunch. I drink a lot of coffee. I know a lot of people do. Alright, I gotta go dispose of the grounds. Now this is how I wash the Hario, is I take the hot water that I was just using and I pour it all over the Hario. Because I don't like mixing soap in coffee because the soap will often leach into the coffee and make it taste funny. So then I store it on my drying rack up here upside down like this. So just to cool off, I got my coffee. The one downside to the Hario is every time I lift it up to check, a little bit of coffee gets on the counter. Not the end of the world, but definitely gross. Alright, that's how I make coffee using the pour over filter. I'll be back to show you how I use coffee to make this. Alright, we're just going to do a dry run because I'm not drinking a bunch of coffee today. So anyway, on the bun, I lift the lid, I pour my water in like you just seen. I have really hard water in this house. I need to clean this. The scale just builds up over time. You can see it back here is just scale. Anyway, we fill our grounds, put the water in, close the lid, and that little lever opens and lets the water through. So when it's up, the water's not going anywhere. So then you close the lid, water goes through the filter, ends up in my... That still didn't go in right. There we go. Ends up in my pot. and then I pour it into my thermos. That's pretty much it. I might get some footage of me doing it tomorrow or the next day, so that you see me at 3 a.m. barely functional and doing coffee, because it can be done almost in your sleep. All right, I'll see you next in how I clean my thermoses. All right, so I lost some of the footage because I was stupid, but essentially I soak this thing in cleaning vinegar for 5 or 10 minutes, and then I take a little scrubby and just scrub down the inside walls. Now some of this is kind of just permanently stained. I know this is stainless steel cup, but it's not supposed to be pretty, but I know it's clean now. And how I can tell it's clean is I will put something like water, or sometimes I've used milk or something where you can just taste if it's off. So water, milk, orange juice, you can taste if there's something off about it. So I'll fill this cup up and then I'll drink out of it. And then if it tastes like there's something messed up or there's still some vinegar in here, I'll be able to taste it in water or milk. Yuck, but it works as a taste test. And then you know it's clean. And it's better than what I've seen some guys just leave in their coffee cups. I know this looks bad, but I have seen far worse coffee cups in my life. I'm sure you have too. So that's how I clean the Yeti. Super simple. Yep, I'll move on to thermoses because I have a very intensive process for thermoses. All right, so now my work thermos. Now I have a little more intensive of a process with the work thermos. Hold on, let me scoot you back and make sure I'm in frame. Okay. A little more intensive of a process for the green thermos I take to work. While everything is sealed up, I will take soap. This is just that spray dish soap Maddie's been buying. Works pretty well. And a scrubby of some sort. And I will just scrub down the outside. Because this is just sitting in a nasty, dirty shop all day. There is all sorts of crap on it. Now the paint pen for my initials will come off when I do this, little by little, so every now and again while I'm at work I have to reapply the paint pen. But it's a lot easier than getting my shit stolen or accidentally taken home. I've noticed a lot of theft in shops, especially the smaller ones, is more accidental. Because everyone's using the same types of shit. Alright. Alright, now once I got the sealed cup completely rinsed, I will disassemble it. I'll put my hot water on real soft. And I will just start rinsing every piece. So like this piece, just rinsing it off. And I'm going to set it off to the side. Rinsing out the courtesy cup, which was not used for anybody this week. Or, yeah, I clean these about once every 2 weeks. This was not used for anything, but it does have to come off when I'm filling, so there are there's sometimes little shit that can creep in there. So I like to just make sure it's clean the next time I have to use it. Now, fill it up to about halfway, put my palm over it to seal it, shake it like it's a cocktail. And just remember, it is hot water that you're putting in here, so if your hands can't handle it, just put your lid back on and shake it with the lid. I do that a couple times in case there's any chunks of anything in here, which shouldn't be. But the insides of these do become seasoned over time, which means they blacken and just little particulates of coffee will sit in there. And that's a flavor you want to preserve because it actually helps the flavor of your coffee, in my experience. Now, you got to make sure it's clean, but you want to preserve the seasoning like a Dutch oven or a piece of cast iron. It's just a seasoning. So I make sure I get plenty of hot water in there. Now, if there is any question about whether or not something is growing in here, if there's any question about that whatsoever, I fill the thing with hot vinegar, or I'm sorry, I fill the thing with hot water, dump out the hot water, and put in room temperature vinegar, and I let it sit for a week or so. It's hard as hell to get the vinegar taste out after that, but that's only if I'm concerned that there's some sort of mold building up or something in here. So I will fill the thing all the way to the top and then put the lid in so that it's completely covered in vinegar. And vinegar is a little acidic, so it's going to take off some of the seasoning, but I'd rather that, and I'd rather have a hard time getting the vinegar out than drinking something that's unsafe for me. So that's just how I do it. Now, sometimes I will dilute a cap, and I'll do it for you here. About a cap full of vinegar, or 2 caps full, I would say. And put it in. And put, well, yeah, then I put the lid back on. Sorry, I don't usually, and I roll it around in here just a little bit. I fill it with hot water. Now, I don't know if this is scientifically, like, if this actually does anything, but I'm just showing you what I've done over the years and what has worked. Because, I didn't even have this anecdotal evidence when I started. I kind of just want to get some of this out onto the internet in case somebody's struggling to get started like me. And it's like when you're new in the shop and everything, you just get a little scared to ask some of the old timers, because some of them, they're dismissive, you know. Their job is not to educate you. Their job is to weld or machine or whatever you decide to do, or whatever their profession is. It's not their job to babysit the new guy or the new kid, really. So let me show you this. So while it's sealed, right, you unscrew it about a half turn, about a full turn, and then boom, you got a pour spout on either side. And this is how I pour my coffee out. Now, while I'm cleaning this, I will often do this to clean, because this is how the coffee's going to come out. This is how I want to clean it. All right. Now we got to get that 2 capfuls of vinegar out of it. It's a touch time consuming, so that's why I only do it about every 2 weeks, or about every time I descale my coffee maker, I'll do this. Just one of those things you got to do to take care of yourself and take care of the nice tools you have. And yeah, I use coffee more as a tool in my everyday life and less as a commodity, or not a commodity, less as a pleasure. It's more of a tool. because I don't know too many people who spring straight out of bed at 3 a.m. and just enjoy going to work. So one of the things I look forward to is getting some good coffee. Sometimes I'll sniff and see if I can smell any vinegar. It's not always perfect, because sometimes the day after I do this, I will taste a little vinegar in my coffee. And vinegar won't hurt you. I'm pretty sure you can just drink straight vinegar. Don't drink straight vinegar without looking it up first. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, we eat vinegar. Pretty sure that's what's in pickles. You know, they make vinegar that's food. So vinegar is safe to use in these applications, as far as I'm aware. Which, I'm not a doctor, I'm a welder, so Google it. Or something like, ask a doctor, I don't know. But that's how I do that. And I have a nice drying rack over my sink, so I just hang it up upside down to dry. Kind of like that. It all drains out. And courtesy cup is pretty much done. I don't really do much to the courtesy cup because it doesn't really do much. Now this, I have a little toothbrush scrubby that is not used. I don't use this one for soap, but it comes on one of these scrubby handles. I just use the brush. And I'm going to get it a little wet. And as you can see, this thing is dirty. There is some coffee buildup on it. So I just manually remove it. You see it's a little better. It's at least green again and not brown. Some of this is just stained permanently. You're not going to get it off after a couple of years. But I just want to make sure it's clean and safe to use. So I'm removing anything that will come off. Just without soap, without just some water and manual methods. And it'll all come off. And that looks a lot better to me than it did before I started this. See, the bottom is completely stained, but the bottom comes in contact with coffee on the daily. So, not much we can do there. But as long as the gunk is gone, and it's just the stained stuff, I'm good with it. Now, I want this thermos to last me a super long time, which is the reason I take such good care of it. So, you don't have to do this to your thermos. I can't promise any longevity, but this is the same thermos I picked up day 14 into my first job in the industry, where I was just cutting steel to fit in garbage cans. Before they let me weld, before anything else, I was cutting steel to fit into garbage cans, and I was so tired because they were 12-hour days, and I wasn't used to it, and I drank too much. I just needed to get through the day, so I did everything I could to get through the day, and then I finally was like, okay, I'm hopping on the coffee train. Because there were a couple old timers at work that drank coffee like it was water, and now I feel like one of those fuckers who's drinking coffee like it's water. So, yeah, that's how I take care of my thermos. And we already did my cup. I'll show you how to descale a coffee pot too, since I need to do that today. All right. All right. Descaling a coffee pot is pretty simple. For the buns. Pull out that. Get down here. I'm going to wedge you under there. You see that? That piece right there. I'm pulling that out. It's just a thread or two. Maybe. What the hell? Usually it comes out. Let me try. Good old vice grip hand. All right. Then I put it in the bottom of my tub. Boys, put it in the bottom of the tub, and I throw it in here. Lift my lid, grab my cleaning vinegar, and pop this sucker open. Now, you got to take the power off it, so I'm removing the power. For these buns, there's also a switch on the side I could turn off, but I'd rather just remove the power at the source. Make sure everything is safe, and then I'm going to pour the vinegar into the top here. Now this is where I take that scrubby brush and I get around the lid, so I'm going to leave a little bit of vinegar in here. Fuck it, I'll clean that with water. Anyway, just pour. I usually do a gallon, but I didn't have a full gallon of cleaning vinegar, so this is just what was left in the bottle. I'm going to let it sit up in the top for a little bit. This is going to be mostly for the bun coffee makers. For other coffee makers, you're going to want to just follow the processes set out by your manufacturer. Then I am just going to drop the lid, and you can already hear it running out of the bottom. So that's meaning the vinegar is going into the tank and the water is coming out of the tank. So then I'm going to let the vinegar sit in the tank for 20-25 minutes. And come back and then just run water through this. Just buttloads of water through this till all the vinegar's out. I don't think you guys need to watch all that, so, well, this is where I'm going to sign off on the video, so take it easy. All right, I lied. I wanted to show you kind of, you see all those white flakes floating in there? That is scale. Oh, got a little steam. That is scale coming out of my coffee maker. I want to make sure I get all that out. It'll make the coffee maker last longer. You can see I've wiped down the top. This was an old beat up coffee maker when I got it. I have tried to make it look pretty, but it is just a piece of old equipment that is going to look poor however I do it. So I try to keep it running nice, but that's what kind of scale I'm trying to remove from the coffee maker. All right, I hope that was a good look into what my life is like as far as coffee goes. My routines and just generally how I do it. I was hoping to not manicure anything or pretty anything up too much. I wanted to give the honest truth of what this looks like. I've found good success working blue collar. I make good money. I have good benefits and all that, but it is not all the glitz and glamour of really anything. It's down and dirty work, and lifestyle I live is I don't have a $3,000 coffee maker. I got a coffee maker somebody gave me. That was $100 probably 10 years before they gave it to me. Or I have a thermos that I think I spent 35 bucks on that has lasted me almost 10 years now. Or, you know, I don't have a gold watch or any of that, even though I'd like a gold watch. But it's not glitz and glamour. There's got to be dishes in the sink. There's got to be dogs barking. You know, I just want to give an honest look at this, because sometimes I see there's these social media channels and they really try to zhuzh up the blue collar life when most of us are not going to be technicians making $100,000 a year. Most of us are going to be making a moderate amount a year. We're going to be working factories. We're going to be working in dirty fab shops or custom fab if you're lucky. Or you might just be a manufacturing goon that does the same part 100 times a day, but you are the best at making that part. You know, gets paid on Friday and comes back in Monday or works Saturday. Most Saturdays I end up working. I think I take one Saturday off every 2 months or so. My hours are about 56 hours a week standard, but they're usually more than that. You know, it's one of those things. I want to give the honest truth that it's a good life, but you have to work hard. So I know I'm on a soapbox, but I didn't want to zhuzh any of this up. I didn't want to make it look pristine and pretty. I wanted you to see how my coffee cup looks, how my coffee thermos looks, how my coffee maker looks. You know, I try to keep them as clean. I try to keep everything looking pretty. The wife does good, but she works as well, so the jobs are split. And sometimes there are dishes left in the sink. Coffee's been important to me. It's been a good tool for me. I've done a lot of work off of caffeine and hope because I didn't sleep the night before. Sometimes you'll get 4 hours sleep, you still got to go into work, or you'll get, the worst I ever had is I didn't sleep an entire night because we had a pipe blow and I had to stop the leak because it got cold. The pipe blew. I had to stop the leak. I had to seal it. And then I had to take care of all the water that had streamed out. So I didn't sleep at all that night. And I could have called in and used time off, but I was saving the time off for something special. So I had to go into work with no sleep. Coffee and hope were the only two things that got me through that. Now that's not ideal. You don't want to be doing that every week or every day. But I'd say once a year I get like no sleep and go into work anyway. It's not ideal. Safety guy might skin you alive if he hears that. So maybe just keep that to yourself. But I wanted to leave this coffee video on one note, and it's a quote that I have always kind of taken to heart because you can use it in every facet of your life. And it was an old timer. He had a long gray beard, and he was trying to talk some sense into the young kid. He always said, drink the free coffee. And what that meant to him was drink the free coffee, because if you get laid off today or work slows or something and we get laid off, you don't want to be used to the good coffee. You want to be used to the free coffee you can get at the banks, because that might be the only cup of coffee you can afford that day. And if the free coffee's not good enough for you, you're going to have a real bad day. But if it is, if you're used to the cheap coffee, you're just going to be thankful to have coffee. So I know some people use coffee as a hobby, but for me it is really more of a tool. So I drink Folgers. It's not the cheapest coffee, but it's kind of the bottom there. I mean, I paid $14 for that big keg at Sam's Club. I think the big keg of the classic roast at Walmart proper is like 16 or 17 bucks right now, which is expensive, but the great value for a cake, maybe a quarter or 3/4 of the size, I think that's running about 12 to 14. And the great value coffee's good too. I've drank plenty of it, but I do prefer the dark roast Folgers because it's a step above that great value, although there's nothing wrong with great value. Also, I keep all the cans and use them for nuts and bolts, and the great value comes in a cardboard canister. They don't last very long, so I do get some extra use out of the plastic can of the Folgers. So that's another justification for me, is it's another $2 bolt can. But always drink the free coffee, because you never know when that's going to be all you can afford. So anyway, I appreciate it. I hope I hope I learned you something. Now, I hope you learned something. I hope I could help. And if you have any questions or comments, or just want to tell me what kind of coffee you drink in the comments, feel free. I'd love to hear it. Like and subscribe if you care to, but take care.